All right, let's dive into the engine room of the internet. We're going to pull apart the machine that powers digital advertising. And what we're going to find is that it's fundamentally broken. We're going to follow the money, see exactly where it vanishes, and understand why this whole system is facing a massive, inevitable reinvention. It all starts with this one number, 51%. For every single dollar that an advertiser spends on one of those automated, programmatic ads you see everywhere, that's the median amount that actually makes it to the publisher, the people who actually created the content in the first place. Just 51 cents. So right away, you have to ask the obvious question. If the publisher's only getting half, where on earth is the other 49 cents going? And the answer to that question reveals a system that isn't just a little inefficient, it's broken by its very design. That money basically disappears into this incredibly complex and murky supply chain. Think of it less like a chain and more like a leaky pipe with holes drilled all over it. This isn't just a small drip either. It's a massive torrent of lost value that is actively undermining the entire economy for creating content online. Okay, so let's break that dollar down. About 34 cents goes to all the middlemen, the ad tech platforms connecting the buyers and sellers. But here's the really wild part. Look at that bottom line. About 15% of all ad money just vanishes. It's called the unknown delta. It gets lost in the complexity completely unaccounted for. It's the perfect black box for hidden fees and skimming. Now, this massive financial leak isn't some accident. It's actually a symptom of a system that's built on some really messed up incentives. It creates this toxic feedback loop that doesn't just hurt the publisher's bank account. It fundamentally changes and I'd argue pollutes the very content we all consume online. And that engine is something called the unvirtuous circle. Here's how it works. The platforms demand more and more granular data to target you. So publishers are forced into this arms race to collect it. But the more they hyper-target, the more their ad space gets devalued, and it becomes a race to the bottom. The system stops rewarding quality and starts rewarding anything that can grab your attention inside a tiny algorithmic bubble. This is why thoughtful journalism has to compete with mindless clickbait. And worse, it literally creates a business model for outrage and radicalization, because it turns out that extreme content is incredibly good at keeping people engaged inside those bubbles. And don't just take my word for it. This quote just nails the core conflict. Collecting more data doesn't make publishers more money. It actually costs them more and gives them less in return. The system rewards tactics that are just designed to go viral inside these filter bubbles, which means that well-researched, important work ends up in a street fight with listicles, rage bait, and sometimes even dangerous conspiracy theories. So it's probably no surprise that this entire setup has caught the eye of regulators. Big time. In the US, a federal judge has already ruled that Google has an illegal monopoly in the ad tech market. And over in the UK, they found that Google abused its dominance by rigging the game to favor its own ad exchange. And the proposed fix isn't just some slap-on-the-wrist fine. We're talking about a potential structural breakup of the business. The fallout from this broken system goes way beyond just being inefficient. It translates into truly staggering amounts of pure waste and risk. We're talking about real money just being set on fire by all the friction in the system. $54 billion. That's how much revenue publishers are estimated to lose this year alone. And why? Because nearly a third of all of us on the internet are now using ad blockers. We're actively opting out. We're rejecting this intrusive, privacy-destroying system that the unvirtuous circle created. And then you've got this number. This is the other side of that coin. This is the projected amount of ad money that's going to be wasted globally this year on pure fraud. I'm talking about bots, fake traffic, fake websites, all designed to exploit the system's opacity and just siphon cash away from everyone. So here's the bottom line. You combine these two things, people actively avoiding the system and criminals actively defrauding it, and you get over $126 billion a year. Just gone. That's not just inefficiency. That is a catastrophic system failure, plain and simple. But here's the thing. A huge earthquake is happening right now. The entire technological foundation of this broken system, the third-party cookie that's used to track you all over the web, is being switched off. And it's forcing a long overdue re-architecture of the whole industry. So this change is forcing the industry away from this old, shady model of tracking you across the web, usually without you even knowing it, and it's moving toward a new model that's built on a direct, transparent relationship using what's called first-party data.
That's information you knowingly and willingly give to a brand or a publisher. It's basically a shift from spying on people to, well, just asking them.
And make no mistake, this isn't some small software update. This is a complete rebuild from the ground up. The entire infrastructure that has run digital ads for more than a decade is being torn down. So the big question is, what's going to replace it?
To survive and thrive in this new world, it really comes down to three key things. First, you have to own your own data by building real, direct relationships with your audience. Second, you have to adopt new technologies that respect privacy, but still let you understand your users. And third, everyone has to demand radical transparency. Get the receipts for every transaction so that unknown delta finally becomes a thing of the past.
So what this really shows is a massive power shift. The most valuable data now is the stuff that people consent to give you. That first-party data from watching what users do and zero-party data, which is what they just flat out tell you about themselves, that becomes everything. A publisher's direct relationship with its audience, that's not just a nice thing to have anymore. It is the absolute core of their entire business. So you see, as this broken system finally starts to crumble, the question isn't if it's going to change. That's already happening. The real question is, what do we build to replace it? Are we just going to build a slightly more efficient version of the same flawed ad model? Or can we imagine a completely new economic engine for the internet? One that actually funds great content without forcing creators into a destructive race for clicks, and one that doesn't rely on constant surveillance or forcing us to pay for dozens of subscriptions. The future of a healthy, informative internet really depends on us finding that answer.